I couldn't wait. I had to break it open and see what was inside. This is my Atari 800 XL that I picked up. Now that I got the bench generally cleaned off, here's the Atari 800 XL service manual and the Atari 1050 drive manual. There is the 1050 and the case. By the way, I did save some of the lint that was inside, so if you want original Atari 800 lint that is old, I saved some for you. But I took it apart, opened it up, and I started just kind of visually inspecting it. It's connected in S-Video. No, not S-Video, sorry. It's connected in just composite right now into there from the back. And when I turn it on, you can hear what it does. But I get a split second of video on the screen. Let's see if it'll catch it. It doesn't do it every time. No, it didn't do it that time. But I tried it with the keyboard connected and it was all together, and it did this before, so I broke it open. And first thing was just try it out and visually inspect what's inside of here. So here's kind of what it is. So I looked through, some of the RAM chips were a little loose, so I pushed them in, but they are socketed, and the work doesn't look to be terrible, I guess. I don't know if those sockets are factory or were added, but those are socketed. The chips, most of the chips along the bottom are socketed. The 6502 is. I can't remember the names of those two chips yet. Antic, Pokey, I don't remember which ones are which. This is my first Atari. This is my introduction to the Atari world, so it's an 800 XL. I never had one of these as a kid, so I'm completely new to this. In fact, I'm completely new to the 6500 series of processors. I'm a lot more familiar with Z80-based stuff. Those of you who know my backstory know why that is. But anyways, most of them are socketed. I think this is the basic ROM, and this is the operating system ROM. Can't remember what those two are, 6502. But those are socketed, except for that one and those two. And the ROM, you would have thought was socketed, but well, it's not. I pushed the chips in, just to make sure. And same thing. I should have caught the video there. I'll do it next time. So I did the obvious stuff. And the others, I just sort of went through and visually inspected everything on the board. And at least from eyeballs' sake, everything looks okay. There's nothing apparently blown or broken or out of place or any of that sort of stuff. Chips are generally dated 83 date codes. So this is like 8335, 8343, 8335, 8329. So you get the sort of idea. Most of these parts are made in 83, and I'm guessing this was assembled and sold in 84 because this chip is copyright 84, and I think it has an 84 date code on it. So my best guess is this was made somewhere in 1984. But if we look at the back, and here's where it does get interesting. If we turn it over, there's definitely some signs of work that was done down here. It looks like nothing down here was done. But we get over here to this chip, and you can see there's definitely some work, some flux residue there. There's definitely some flux residue there. Where else? Around this area, there's some flux residue. Oddly, on the RF part, there's some. Maybe there was RF problems with this at one point, and they replaced the RF modulator, because I don't know, that looks like there's work been done around there. And then on the memory chips, there's definitely work done there, possibly there. And it leads me to believe that the sockets were factory, but I don't know. Maybe if those of you who are familiar with Atari can chime in and let me know if flux in the factory was normal residue to be left behind, or if this, like my suspicion is these have been worked on, if my suspicion is correct. and that is the way that, not the way that came from the factory. Some bubble wrap on the ribbon cable running to the keyboard. I somehow doubt that's factory. Maybe it was. Again, those of you that know the insides of these maybe can tell me if that's the case or not. But anyways, that's first glance. I need to print out some other, like I need to print the 6509 manual so I can go through and I'll start plugging into the scope and start seeing what I get. But I'll probably check voltages first, which I did buy this power supply from 8-bit. Is it 8-bit Classics, I think? Something like that. At VCF, so I assume this is, it's marked a Atari XL XLE 5-volt 2.4 amp, so I think that's the right one. It fits. I bought the cable from the same company at VCF, 8-bit Classics, I think. So the cables should be no good, right? They're brand new. They're labeled for the Atari 800. Everybody says that place is really pretty good, so I trust the cables at this point. But, you know, next up, I think there are a couple of joints that appear loose on here, like this, the keyboard connection appears loose. I'm going to, next up, clean the board, turn it over, clean up the old flux. I'm going to reflow a couple of solder joints that look like they have issues from work being done. And then we'll see how it goes. I might just start recapping it, maybe. No, I probably won't. I think after I clean it up and verify that all the connections are at least good for now, I'll start checking the 6502 to see if I'm getting the right signals and voltages. And I should probably check the voltages up in this power area after reading said manual. I do have that. Thank you, Internet. We'll see how it goes from there. I've rambled on long enough. Anyways, my Atari 800 XL, new experience for me. Laters.